All right. I'm going to turn this room noise down a little bit. But I think that's my fan. Ugh. Gotta work on that. Okay. We're back. You're joining me. December. It's December 12th here, so we're well into the holiday. Yeah, beginning of the holidays. Is that okay? Yeah, my levels seem a little low, but hope that works. We'll find out. Actually, I can check from here. Let me find out how this sounds. Oh. Yeah, when it's streaming, it sounds much better than when it gets archived. I notice there's a lot more, the audio takes a real dive, so maybe it gets compressed or something. So when I hear, when I listen back to the archive streams, it sounds pretty rough, but I don't know, maybe that's a YouTube thing. But yeah, streaming live, it sounds pretty clear, and this mic works pretty well for that. Clean enough. So, let's, all right. So back again. So yeah, the second week after that missed week, and definitely winter now. Crazy. Something interesting happened this morning as when I left the house. I just have to walk down this almost a kilometer of stairs down to the train station, and it was really cold, and there was a drop of blood that started, just shortly after I left the house, but it was frozen, so it was very, very visible. And on every stair, all the way down, almost, I guess, to the end of the stairs, not quite to the station itself, but all the way down to where there were no longer stairs, there was this regular drop of blood on almost every step or every other step, and it was frozen, and then it's a little splat pattern. And my American instinct was instantly, well, someone was stabbed or shot, and they just tried to, walk for help, or they tried to keep moving and get somewhere. And but most likely, being in Japan, it was just someone with a nosebleed, or it could have been like an injured stray cat or something. But it was funny that my first instinct was, there was a stabbing or shooting every time you see blood on the ground. And yeah, so that's just being used to, I guess, a certain amount of crime that doesn't exist here. So I still have that same reaction. I've been here long enough that I thought I wouldn't, but yeah, I still react in that same way. So who got shot is the kind of knee-jerk response to that. So I thought that was very, very funny. Yeah, I did one of the first times I came to Japan, there was a lot of blood on a corner that I passed by all the time, and I guess it turns out someone had an argument with a taxi driver and pulled a knife on them, and so the taxi driver got stabbed and bled out a little bit on the corner, and was an ambulance came and got medical attention. But yeah, that was the only kind of blood on the ground that I've ever saw related to a crime in Japan. And of course, in Japan, it's always going to be a stabbing. It's all people seem to do here. No regular folks don't have any firearms, so they're just stabbing each other, which is yeah, which is strange, because that's so much more intimate and so much more violent. To do any kind of damage, you have to get up close and be very angry or very crazy. So yeah, that's thankfully pretty rare here. But yeah, so blood, frozen drops of blood all the way to the train station this morning. Yeah, that was interesting. And yeah, no snow, but cold enough for things to freeze. So these little frozen droplets all the way down on every station. Good stuff. Yeah, so yeah, we're well into the Christmas season, which actually starts very early in Japan, because there's no Thanksgiving. So there's no buffer between Halloween and Christmas. So November 1st, Christmas begins, and everything, all the plastic decorations and everything comes out, and it starts, the whole kind of fake holiday season starts. And this year, actually, I think maybe I mentioned this last time, but Japan is starting to adopt the Black Friday sale, even though they don't have Thanksgiving, and they don't really celebrate Christmas as a big shopping family holiday. I mean, you may give your kids one present for Christmas here, one gift from Santa, and there's couples usually have dinner on Christmas Eve night, depending on when that falls. And this year I think Christmas Day is on a Monday, so I'm not sure the restaurants are going to benefit from that. Everyone's going to work the next day, so it's going to be maybe light on the dinner reservations. So it starts right away. You're well into Christmas, the very beginning of November, and the funny thing is so people are already tired by the middle of December. By this time, people are getting done with Christmas. They have seen more than a month already, and are pretty tired of it. But the funny thing is, because it's not the big family holiday here, Christmas Day, basically Christmas Day or the day after, everything Christmas has to be gone, because they have to get ready for the New Year's and New Year's decorations and kind of preparation for that big family holiday. So that's the first first part of the year. That's the large family, go back to your hometown, stay with your folks, visit your relatives. Everybody shows up and puts in an appearance with the family. That's the big holiday here, and it's a so it just gives Christmas a lot less relevance. So it's kind of stuck in this weird limbo. So it's kind of a Valentine's Day, but maybe not so much even that anymore. I think it's a little bit less. There used to be kind of a thought or a stigma, you want to get engaged by Christmas, so maybe a lot of proposals happened at that Christmas dinner. So used to have much more relevance, kind of culturally, as just the day. Hopefully he'll pop the question. But I think even less and less here now. I think the younger generation is getting more disillusioned about marriage, and less people are doing that. The numbers about people that are not in a marriage, not in a relationship here are crazy high, like 30-40% of certain groups that they ask have never been on a date, have never had a girlfriend, are not interested, or just their whole attitude is just, it's troublesome. The Japanese expression mendokusai is it's just too much trouble. A girlfriend, a boyfriend is too much trouble. I want to focus on my hobby or my career, my education, and those romantic things just seem to get in the way. So it's a very funny attitude. So Christmas is losing, I think, some of its romantic punch too. And I may have already mentioned that there isn't turkey or big baked hams in Japan, but there is KFC. So Christmas, the large fiberglass Colonel Sanders that are in front of all the KFCs have their Christmas outfit on, and I guess because he's got a white goatee and white hair, he can pass for Santa. So he's dressed as Santa starting November 1st, and you got to order your fried chicken dinner. So they do so fried chicken is the Christmas meal, and I guess it's one of those things where give mom a break and order some KFC, that kind of thinking. Probably a big motivation for that. So there's a big push to order some Thanksgiving fried chicken, but actually I think they've started doing roast chicken as well. So you can get a like a slow roast chicken, like you can get at the grocery stores in America, the rotisserie kind of slow roasted chicken. You can order those as well from KFC. So that's a little more holiday style. But yeah, it's very funny. So they push fried chicken in, and a lot of the other fast food restaurants carry fried chicken only for the holidays because they know that that's a thing. People eat fried chicken and order a Christmas cake, and a Christmas cake is usually just like a strawberry shortcake layer cake. So white cake or yellow cake, and white cream frosting and strawberries. It's a very common because it looks Christmassy. It's white and red, Santa colors. So that's a common Christmas style cake, and possibly with a little marzipan Santa on top. But yeah, that's the excitement of Christmas here, and it has to get out of the way for the New Year's holiday. So it's very funny every year, and in our house, it's a funny thing. You put up the Christmas tree, and then you got to take it down right away. You open presents under the tree, and then get it out of the way because the New Year's holiday starts, and they don't do spring cleaning in Japan. They do New Year's cleaning. So I guess spring is too busy with changing jobs, changing graduating from school. There's too many big life changes going on in spring, so the change and renewal is already taken care of in that way. So New Year's is the time you clean your house. You do your big spring cleaning and clean your house top to bottom, and do those air vents or filters or things you don't you only do once a year. So that's a yeah, that's a thing here, is New Year's cleaning, and maybe just to renew the house if people are visiting. So either before or after the holiday. If people are going to be visiting the house, you can give it a thorough scrub. But that's the that's the strange kind of dynamic Christmas and New Year's here. It feels very, very funny to have just a slightly odd version of those things. Oh, but back to the the Black Friday sale. So they don't have Thanksgiving, and so they just treat a Friday. I think I think it's pretty close to the same Friday as the one that follows Thanksgiving, like the fourth Friday. They were having Black Friday sales because Black Friday, I guess because of the videos online of the people stampeding over each other at Walmart. It's becoming an internationally known thing, for better or worse, and so Japanese people recognize that, and now the big not department stores, but shopping center kind of companies are doing Black Friday sales because it's just a theme, an excuse or reason to get people into the store, which is basically, I think, what all of the kind of foreign adopted holidays are, is just an excuse to get people to buy decorations and shop. And you can especially see that at the equivalent of the dollar stores here, the 100 yen stores, where people will just buy the cheapest holiday decorations they can, and so that's going to be the 100 yen store. So immediately 100 yen stores have a lot kind of cheap felt and plastic decorations for Christmas or Easter even, or Halloween. Constantly have those on the shelves, just to anticipate that little bit of rush for that. And I think that's people decorate their businesses or offices or things with that because it's very inexpensive, and they're really not that committed to the holiday, so it's good enough. It works enough. But yeah, surprisingly, the 100 yen stores here, the quality is actually surprisingly good, compared to what I remember from dollar stores and things in the US. But I think the biggest chain, Daiso, is making its way to US anyhow. I think maybe in California and they have Daiso, and I'm not sure what they carry because I'm sure there's certain things that by the time you import them to the US, they're not dollar store prices anymore. But yeah, there's some Daiso that have listings in in the U.S. And it's interesting because there's so many, Japan specific things that they carry, the cookware and things that are for very specific, Japanese dishes that would have no reason to exist in the U.S. So it's kind of funny that they exist. That has that's a that's a thing. As I don't know what they import, because there's a big kind of obsession or big, reusing or finding other uses for pet bottles or finding easy ways to crush your pet bottles for recycling and things. There's a lot of that here in the 100 yen store, and I don't think that's quite as useful or quite as popular in the US, but they're, recycling crazy here. There's all kinds of little accessories to help you your recycling. Yeah, I'd be interested to see the kind of inventory. Yeah, I remember seeing very early on, I think it was in New York, a Muji shop, and Muji Dushi is the kind of that brandless brand shop that exists in Japan. And it's a lot of they have clothing, but it's mostly like housewares, goods, kind of small furniture and pillows and storage units, a lot of household goods and stationery. And the shop was only the stationery part of yeah, so I remember seeing that a long time ago. So I'm sure a lot of yeah, those things are interesting and useful. But the funny thing about the stationery is a lot of the pens that they use in Japan are very, very fine point, like 0.3 millimeter is very popular. Because, when you're writing kanji with many strokes, with a ballpoint pen, you need a pretty fine pen so things don't kind of, blob together. So I'm not sure that's as useful as I don't think people want to write with such a fine pen in most cases. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. That yeah, that existed because it's a funny thing. I think a lot of people in Japan are so brand conscious, and to come up with an anti-brand brand, like a brand with no mark. So if it doesn't have a mark and it has a certain style, it's obviously from Muji. It's obviously this brand, but it's still kind of the brandless brand, very kind of minimalist style. The design is very, yeah, kind of reminds me. It feels very like Northern European or Scandinavian almost in design and materials and things. Yeah, that's it here. And I don't know what I'm drawing today. It's just randomness. But we'll keep going. So yeah, so the holidays are very different here. Feeling is a little strange. It's very, I mean, you feel the ugly commercialism of Christmas sometimes in the US, but here it's just only heartless plastic commercial. There's nothing family or warm or there's no Christmas spirit in Japan at all. It's just this kind of empty mockery or imitation of the American tradition, just to sell decorations and cards and few gifts. And so Christmas, the gift giving is minimal, and it's mostly for just children from Santa. And the funny thing about that is then, so where do kids get all of their holiday gifts? Well, on New Year's they get money from their relatives. So when you visit the family, the one thing that you do is you give a little bit of money to all of your cousins or nephews or anybody younger than you. So there's a lot of that goes on. So you have, and so it adds up to quite a bit of money, and especially like your parents or grandparents, whoever's kind of the head of the family, gives you quite a large amount of money. So that's what happens right after the New Year's holiday, is all of the kids run to the stores to spend all of their money in the year. So they do their own holiday shopping for themselves. So there's not a lot of returns of holiday gifts because kids just get money and buy exactly what they want for themselves. So I guess that saves a bit of the hassle. None of that hectic Christmas shopping and, oh, is somebody going to like that? And so there's no Christmas impulse gifts or anything here, you know, that little silly stuff that shows up near the register, or, you know, for people you have no idea what to get them. You can get them in engraved beer stein, or, you know, the, you know, foot massager, or some kind of, you know, rechargeable flashlight or something. All those little odd gifts, those impulse kind of thoughtless gifts that you have to give just because you're, you know, some obligation to give somebody something. So that doesn't exist here in that same way. I mean, they do have a lot of thoughtless gift giving, because a lot of, especially for the New Year's, at the New Year's time, and then I think there's a time during the summer, there's a, you know, business gift exchange kind of thing. So anybody you've worked with throughout the year, you send a gift to. So they have these B2B gifts, and you see them a lot in the department stores here, where it will be department stores and grocery stores, I guess the food floor of the department stores. So you'll see a set of cans of beer or cooking oil or jam or jellies, or you know, these big boxes that contain like 8 or 12 of something. And sometimes it's kind of funny what people would give as a gift, but it's, you know, it's for business, so it doesn't have to be personal. It just has to be something that's, you know, you wouldn't buy 12 cans of this particular beer or this, you know, particular fruit juice or something. So yeah, a lot of that is exchanged as those business gifts. So that happens in, yeah, New Year's, and then there's a summertime that happens as well. But yeah, that's very funny. So you see those quite often when the season is coming. They get out all of the big flat boxes of variety packs of different kinds of you know, beverages or food or goods or whatever, and people B2B exchange those. If you've done, you know, as a thank you for working together in the during the year. So that's a holiday thing that happens too. Businesses give each other presents, but that's the you know, kind of more thoughtless impulse thing. I think probably a lot of secretaries have to do that. You know, shopping, they have to choose those things for their company. Yeah, that's a uniquely Japanese thing that I've seen, is just these big flat boxes, which must be really, really heavy to ship, but they're, you know, full of fruit or something silly. Yeah, those are the business gifts. All right, let's keep going here. I didn't have any particular cartoon ideas. Maybe holiday stuff would be good, because we're gonna, in a couple of weeks, be all done with this. But yeah, holiday. So yeah, I think that's interesting enough about the differences in holiday. And it's taking hold here, online shopping, but not quite to the extent that it is in the US. I think stores still get pretty crowded and people go out and do shopping. It's just they do it at different times. But I've been hearing that that kind of rush at the shopping mall and the busy Christmas shopping during December in the US is getting less and less, because so many people are doing so much online shopping that it's actually having a decent effect on the brick and mortar stores. Because I can remember that just being chaos. That was the only thing that really prepared me for the scale of how crowded being in public, you know, during, you know, certain holidays or vacation days or things in Japan was. I mean, it's just crazy. You realize how many people are here and how overpopulated, or how dense the population is here. You run into that often in Japan, and the only thing that was ever an equivalent to that is maybe like a baseball game or, you know, Christmas shopping at the mall in the US. And so that's funny, and it's interesting that, yeah, in the US that's kind of going away. because it is just really hectic, and people yeah, seem to be more and more miserable to each other in public. So you never know what you're going to run into, or what somebody's mental problems are going to manifest while you're trying to find a parking spot or trying to wait in line at a cashier. So it's yeah, I think all that seems to be happening. People want to go to movies anymore. People don't want to go shopping anymore. Everything that can happen at home, they try to make happen at home because it's so miserable being out. It's not, I mean, it is miserable going out, especially on, holiday days, national holidays and things where everybody is off in Japan, but it doesn't quite have that, ugh, I don't want to go there because it's going to be a mess and people are going to be so rude. People still, even if they're, you know, in a bad mood or miserable about how crowded it is, are still pretty kind to each other. You get the occasional old person that has to let you know how old they are and how much they think they should be in front of you. Or yeah, you get shoved by old ladies a lot in Japan, more than anything else, and that's pretty funny because they seem to be the weakest, most vulnerable people here, and yet they can be the most physically aggressive. So that's a unique thing. Japan. Andy Kane. But oh yeah, as far as creativity and things that I was thinking about as far as work, or what it takes to do certain things, the one thing that I was thinking about recently, and a lot of things, so people that aren't really being truly creative, but like YouTubers and bloggers and people online, kind of all the strange drama and the little infighting and things that happen. I mean, a lot of that is just to get attention, and a lot of that is because what they're doing, putting themselves online or whatever, is just purely to serve their ego, and it's all about arrogance and narcissism. The thing I was thinking about, though, is what role arrogance has. And it's funny, yeah, saying if you say arrogance in Japan, so Japanese people have a lot of trouble discerning R and L sounds, and so if you say a word and they have to spell it, they just have to guess, is it R or L, because the sound itself is almost identical to their ear. They have to be very conscious, or paying attention, or actually already know the spelling of the word. So R and L are very interchangeable. So arrogance and elegance are funny things to say and can often be misunderstood. So you say she's very arrogant. It's like, oh yeah, she is elegant. Yeah, I think that's a funny misunderstanding. Those are two words that aren't interchangeable, but very often are mistaken for each other. Arrogant and elegant are a funny misunderstanding here. But arrogance. So arrogance in your work, and how important is arrogance to being creative? Because you do have to, find your way, find your style, find what you're doing, and then be very strong or righteous, or very, this is how I do things. This is my style. This is my voice. Whatever it is that you're doing, but that can very easily lead to very arrogant, very looking down very much on other ways of doing things or other people's work. And I think there's definitely an importance to being humble about your work and being open to kind of new ideas, and creating things based on kind of new input, new information, and growing in that way. But also, I think there's something to be said, or there's some usefulness to arrogance, and sometimes it's shocking when you feel that from a creative person, feel how strongly they believe, you know, how amazing they are or how good their work is. That's sometimes very shocking. I much more prefer the people that are more humble and, you know, self-deprecating, like, ah, yeah, my stuff's no good. And that's a very standard position in Japan. Like, if you asked, you know, if you said to like a, you know, Nobel Prize winner in physics or biology or something in Japan, that, oh, you know, your research is so amazing, you must be, you know, you must be one of the, you know, top people in your field. And no, I'm no good, I'm not, you know. It's always the, you know, the modest. That's the, you know, admirable character trait is, you know, modesty. So but what role does arrogance have in your work, and you finding a voice and kind of sticking to it, you know, finding something, you know, just believing, no, this is how I'm going to say things, or this is what I want to say, or this is how I draw ears, I don't know, you know, something as simple as that. And yeah, always I've been kind of disappointed and frustrated with some creative people I know, their kind of arrogance about what they're doing. And I don't know, I think in you have to have a base level of, I should be doing this, I have, you know, enough ability or enough reason or enough motivation to be doing this, that I should be doing this in, you know, in some sense. And I think otherwise, if you don't have that, it's too easy to just stop, you know, to just give up and say, oh, that was a waste of time hobby that I had. But yeah, at the same time, I think you need to have a little bit of realism, and I think, you know, kind of know your level around here, know your level and know where you kind of fit in, you know, so that you're not I don't know if I want to tell this story or not. So that you're not you know, full of yourself and going into situations where you're completely out of your league, and yeah, just make a fool of yourself. Yeah, I'll save that story for another time. But yeah, it was at a Comic-Con. I was getting a lot of praise and compliments about my work, about this domestic abuse strip, and I went off all full of myself to talk to other artists, and yeah, yeah, I must have come off really badly, because I had a couple of really uncomfortable interactions with a couple of, yeah, you know, talented, you know, cartoonists and things. And, you know, people had said, people that liked my work said, oh, you should go over and see his work, or, you know, you both you guys are the best thing I've seen at Comic-Con and stuff. So I was feeling some kind of, you know, kinship or connection to those people, and talking to them, I was, yeah, put in my place as a self-published cartoonist. But yeah, that was pretty brutal. But I'll maybe some future date I'll give names and names and locations. Yeah, but that was pretty brutal. I mean, you've got to really, I think that's an admirable trait too, to kind of have a good sense of yourself and know, yeah, I'm here and they are here, and kind of keep things sorted out. But yeah, I embarrassed myself a long time ago at a Comic-Con, talking to somebody I thought was my peer and was actually my my far superior. But yeah, we'll get into that some other time. But yeah, so how important is that? What should, you know, what should you do? How do you keep yourself grounded? I mean, because especially in situations like a Comic-Con, or, you know, DeviantArt, or, you know, all of these places where Tumblr and things where you can put artwork and get feedback from people. If you just hear, great, amazing, wow, so good, you're awesome, blah blah blah, you know, just hear that again and again. How do you keep grounded, and how do you keep from letting that go to your head and starting to act and sound really foolish? Because I think that's a really easy thing to do. I just, you know, kind of those human failings, as we very easily can succumb to that flattery, or that thinking very highly of ourselves. And I think that's dangerous for your work. And you see that a lot, when you know you see celebrities and famous people have these kind of crises where finally someone isn't telling them they're amazing. Someone tells them they're a fraud or they're talentless or whatever, and they can't handle that very well. And I think it's just because they've been powered, they've been fueled by arrogance, and a lot of times that ego is very easy to break. Yeah, so I think it's important to keep a sense of yourself. And once you get surrounded, once you start making money doing something, and get surrounded by a lot of people that are just praising you and treating you as amazing at something, I think it's important to have a bit of a sense of yourself, and a sense of kind of realism about that. Yeah, and I guess in just about everything. I mean, I've had experience with just about everybody, so not even in creative fields, but even in their careers, feeling people just once they're in a position where they get some people underneath them, so they have some subordinates at their work, just whoa, they are just on a personal level hard to deal with, because they get full of this weird arrogance. Well, I can hire and fire, and I can I have this power at my job, so I'm going to bring that into my personal life. Yeah, I think I've had some pretty uncomfortable interactions with people that are kind of damaged by that from their work experience. They get so full of themselves and think they have some sort of superiority or some sort of mastery of something. And it's just, you get at any job long enough, as long as you're not a complete idiot, you're going to be promoted to a certain level. And it's really not that much of an accomplishment in most fields and most locations. You stay at anything long enough, and you're going to get above other people. And you can't let that go to your head, because everybody around you gets to suffer your arrogance. Yeah, that's a big complaint that I've heard a lot in Japan. People that are doing office work is managers here are notorious, or kind of middle management. Middle management here is notoriously incompetent, and very difficult to deal with, because they feel they're this protected class, and once you get to a certain status here, people feel kind of untouchable, so they get abusive, and the arrogance is just out of control. But that's a whole other interesting topic, is kind of Japanese arrogance. I'll save that for another time. But there's something interesting about kind of intellect and arrogance, and how that functions as a kind of Japanese machismo, which is very different kind of interaction. But so how arrogant is safely arrogant, or productively or usefully arrogant? I guess everybody has to answer that question for themselves. But I would just caution anybody to be careful with that, because that's one thing that can go wrong. That's something that can go wrong with your creative life very easily, as you can become intolerable to other people. And there's a big effort, especially I noticed working in California. Nobody wants to say no. Nobody wants to be mean to each other, or honest to each other, if that feels mean, because they don't know where their next job is coming from. In a very kind of gig-based, project-based economy, you don't know who's going to help you find your next work. So you're incredibly nice to everybody, and that gives everybody this false sense of themselves. And people that really can't stand them will tolerate them as much as they can, just in case they make a good connection or put together an interesting project or something. So it gets a little bit distorted and a little strange because of that. And I'm really uncomfortable about that. I'd rather people call you on your BS and put you in your place than just lie to your face, call you a genius, and then don't return your phone calls. That's a very Los Angeles thing. I remember all those years ago. But yeah, I think yeah, your sense of yourself is very important, and yeah, and always. I mean, I've had incredibly talented and incredibly accomplished people be so humble, interacting with me, and that's so, I admire that very much. And when it's not false, when it's not that Los Angeles thing where you're just trying to play that I'm a good guy thing, because you've never heard. That's the funny thing about celebrities. Everybody's interaction with an actor or a singer or whatever, and for the most part, unless they're serving them, unless they're a waiter or a bellhop, they're always they were the nicest. They were so nice. They were so nice to me. They treated me like I've known them forever, like we were close friends. And that's part of their job. That's to be as easy to work with and as comfortable and charming as possible is a huge part of that job, because it's audition based, approval based, word of mouth based. So you need that, but that is just creepy. That behavior, it's like comforting in this really false, terrible way. And if you ever feel the truth under that veneer, it's very uncomfortable and very creepy. That's a very funny aspect to interacting. I mean, you shouldn't be difficult just for the sake of it, or be full of yourself just for the sake of it when interacting with other people. But being too nice, I don't know a good way to say it, being unreal, too fake is another ugly side of that. But I guess it's easier ever knowing the truth about yourself. But yeah, I think that dishonesty, you'll hit those crises of I'm an imposter, I'm fake, I don't have any talent, I'm not really supposed to be doing this. I think you'll feel that a lot more in those fake environments when people aren't giving you a realistic sense of yourself or your abilities or your work. That's a funny thing, and yeah, it's hard to know how well that works. But arrogance gets you a long way. I mean, because weak people are pretty easily convinced just by arrogance. I think like a director like Ridley Scott has basically had a career fueled by arrogance, and a British accent doesn't hurt either. So he's been able to talk above many people and convince them that he is completely right and what he wants to do is completely so. That's a thing that actually works. You can get arrogant your way into and out of certain situations to your benefit, just because some people will fall for it. So go along with your opinion of yourself. Your very self-assured type opinion of yourself. But yeah, I think that's a interesting thing. I just yeah, I would feel strange to have bullied my way into a situation. This is a very strange angle for this gingerbread man. To have bullied myself into a situation in that way. And yeah, but people have no problem doing things in all kinds of ways. Let's keep going here. Oh, Christmas, holidays. Oh, I think I've drawn that exact image before. Yeah, so, but you do also meet people that could use a little bit of arrogance, that I think their career would have benefited from them just believing in themselves a little bit more. And what is that line between just having some faith in your competence or your abilities, and then that being too much for people to deal with. But I've definitely met people that could use a good dose of arrogance to kind of pick themselves up and get motivated and just be convinced that they're good enough at what they're doing to to get paid for it, or to make that their full-time job or whatever. So it's a tricky thing. I think there's a you can say on both sides there's some good and bad about that. But yeah, I've definitely met people that could use a little bit of arrogance about their work to kind of get to the next level, or or just convince people that they should be paying attention to what they're doing. But yeah, I'm always a big fan of the understated, the amazingly talented understated individuals. I guess those are the people that I have admired, just through interacting with. There's a half-eaten brownie. And oh yeah, I did the Santa the bus up. I remember that specifically. I guess because I did that holiday collection. Yeah, that's something that would be worth doing again. I probably have another set of Christmas related, or even maybe Halloween related or something, cartoons that I can put together for another holiday book. That was fun. When I did 2000s, early 2000s, did a month of holiday cartoons, of Christmas related daily cartoons, and then just chose the best ones and did a little book of 12 of those. That would be a fun thing to do again. But I probably should have started earlier than December 12th. So next year. Oh, so talking about gift giving and things, a tradition, a real heavy tradition in Japan is when you go somewhere, and I don't know how I feel about this. I kind of like it, and then the weird emptiness of the gesture I don't like, but I kind of like this idea. So Japanese people are good tourists and travel a lot, and want to see a lot of foreign countries and different cultures and things. They travel a lot outside of the country, and so they bring back a souvenir. So it's important, all of your coworkers and family members, anybody you're going to see after your trip that maybe you didn't see because you were on holiday, and then when you come back they were like, oh, how was your trip, how was Florida, how was Australia, wherever you went, you have to bring them a small gift. So a little souvenir, a keychain. Keychains are very popular, or some little gift. They just kind of sharing that experience. I mean, sometimes it's actually food or snacks or whatever from that country, so they can share a little bit of their experience. If they went to Italy or France or someplace that had some interesting food, they can share that with you. And so I think, in a way, it's kind of, maybe you couldn't afford to take this holiday, but I'm sharing this experience with you, or you go here and I go there, and we both can have a little taste of these other cultures and things. I think there's something nice, and they call that omiyage is the Japanese name for the souvenir gift from another place. So you're kind of obligated to do that, and so you'll see some places like Hawaii and things, they'll have a giant bag of like 50 keychains or something, and those are for the Japanese tourists because they just buy a giant bag of keychains and give everyone a Hawaii Honolulu keychain with a palm tree on it when they return. But one of my friends and associates here in Japan went to Washington, D.C. and returned with this joke gift because he thought that would be so funny. But shout out to my good friend who was just in Washington, D.C. Anyhow, I didn't even know that was a thing, but obviously in Japan, maybe every president has had a candy bar. Must be a popular souvenir. But yeah, so there's a funny thing for everybody. What what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so yeah, Christmas gifts and things. Yeah, so how about gumdrops? There. Hmm. Or things. Yeah, that's a huge thing to miss about American Christmas is the dessert table. You know, a lot of people will visit for Christmas, you know, neighbors or, you know, not necessarily family, but people from different parts of your life and bring plates of cookies and things, and so they go on the dessert table. So that's always a wonderful thing from the holidays is that table full of all of the wonderful sweets from all the neighbors and coworkers and distant relatives and things. Um, but I can remember many Christmases, you know, back from school visiting parents, and middle of the night. That's the best table in the world. You can just raid that little cookie, cake, and pie table, and there's a lot of wonderful desserts there. So that's a thing to miss. I don't think there's a lot of cookie tables in. Let's do some odd. Oh, yeah. So get some drawing done here. I'm not getting much done. Just a lot of talking. And there. All right, so here we go. Here's another hysterical juxtaposition of things that just don't go together. Guess what? Then I'm not doing this very well. I don't think this is reading very well. These are supposed to be paper clips. Paperclip cookie. It's looking a little crazy. Maybe I need to go where they're going on. Make more. I can put some bumps on the cookies here so I can finish that joke. First thing that popped into my head was oatmeal and paperclip. So got our oatmeal and paperclip cookie here. So what other cookie combinations? Oh, maybe. I think visually this will look good, but I think thumbtack. No, pushpin I guess is okay. Yeah. Doing this stupid before, so. I'm forgetting what pushpins even look like. First few read okay, but oh, that's right, and I think that's what this one. That's what's wrong with this one too. Yeah, the angle. Okay. Hysterical. Juxtaposition. Office supplies and baked goods. Where am I? Just clicking on the. Oh, put that one. Go. Yeah, well, I hope I'm not. I think I've got the level down enough. I hope I'm not breathing too heavy on the microphone too. That's the one thing I've noticed in my old age is my breathing is getting much more audible and much more that lovely sound. I make all kinds of raspy, gaspy sounds that I don't remember making before. So. Benefit of old age. Okay, one more. All of these are slightly different shaped and proportion, but giving you some honest drawing here instead of copy pasting everything. Gotta appreciate that. Maybe these are just made by different manufacturers. Yeah, that was a funny thing. I was buying a bunch of the small cheap bookcases that they make here, and one thing I quickly noticed is they're not all made to the same specifications. They were all slightly different, and I looked at the packaging and they were just made in different countries. So it was the same brand, representing it is the exact same item, but one was from Vietnam and one was from Indonesia, or they were they're different Southeast Asian countries that they were made in, and so they were made to different specifications. So if you put them the two shelving units side by side, they were different thicknesses and different heights. It was pretty funny. There you go. Okay, I think that's another. I think that's good enough for a uncomfortable looking. And maybe this will have some in it. Okay. And maybe this will just all be holiday food. Save all of that. Else there. Yeah, so that's I guess it's the biggest seasonal void that I have is the homemade cookies and baked goods from the holiday season. That's good stuff. Oh, all right. All right. Yeah, I had an error. Sorry, I just noticed my previous Twitter posts or whatever, they have the default date of December 27th. I don't know what happened. Maybe that was the last week. Yeah. So just getting back to it after the misunderstanding or the malfunction of my PC trying to get streaming again. Yeah, when I posted, I didn't check the date and it said December 27th. That's nice. So we're back to making a little bit more sense, I think. All right. So, oh, that's right. I've got Christmas presents, and maybe that's enough. Yeah, maybe that's enough for get these. How long have I been this? Oh, we're already an hour. Over an hour. So let me save this before I lose anything. that's a hard thing to get good at for computer work, and I've still made so many mistakes with that, and uh, not saving, having things crash that you haven't saved. That's a that's a nightmare. That's plenty of very angry, miserable experiences, losing work and or losing, doing editing and sound or video or something, audio or video, to lose progress with just that real, this is going to take an hour to do, so I'm just going to do it, and you lose any of that progress, and it's infuriating. So I advise people to come up with a good strategy to remind themselves about saving things. And some applications are better than others. If things crash or something happens, there'll be a restored version, or say rescued version. I'm not sure what some all different things. But there'll be saved versions of things that will help you not lose work. But that's the worst thing. Yeah, is losing progress, especially on something that's just time consuming, not enjoyable, and to know you just gotta go back and that's real crushing, real blow. Not feeling it. It's flat. Okay, there we go. Make it bigger. Yummy. Yeah, I think this goes along with my Halloween cupcakes from last 2 months ago. I guess it was probably in October. Oh. And our candy. I don't know. Yeah, this way. I don't have any way with. Shit a little. Boosh it a little. Ah. Oh yeah, I think with that helps show the flatness of. Hmm. Put some in this so I can overlap it with stuff and. All right, so the holiday crime scene and the bizarre cookie All right, well, let's color these up and see how it looks. Hmm. Gray. That's better. Okay, I hope the joke is really okay. Oops. Yeah, I think that'll make it colorful. And eight. There's M's in it. Long time. Blue M&M. Blue M&M. What am I forgetting? Well, I think. Hey, here we go. Hmm. All right, so another office holiday party. Yeah, for me that was always a pressing part of office work. The birthdays and holiday. That's rough. Tough. Suicidal after celebrating a holiday with coworkers. Yikes. Guess this just continues. Non-fandom of office holiday parties. Okay. I guess that works. Oh, gonna need highlighting by this. little. Yeah, sometimes when you do, so I do this 20% light sometimes on things. And when you do that, oftentimes, like some of these very bright fluorescent colors, you can't much of that. Yeah, like on this blue. That very little better. Yeah, but some of the colors give you anything. All right. Oh, I hope I can actually put eyes on these. They're a little bit busy, aren't they? I do that to myself sometimes. Draw things hard. Do my little humanizing touch on. Whoa, whoa. I think this will work. There we go. All right. So this nonsense is about he couldn't leave her clip. Quote me. Wish raise cookie. That might be a better way to do this. Here, let's see. Okay. Raisin with a J. Oh boy. Let's see here. Something about yeah. I don't know, competing with existing in this. I'm surprised too. These things did a little highlighting on the plasticky parts. I think that'll help get the what these are across a highlight. There we go. Okay, there's an odd assortment of cookies and a holiday crime scene. So without his face and gum drop button, they looked like solid. Out face and drop button. Or like a something like that. Let's put some color on the red color. That's just yeah, that stripes on the candy cane. There we go. Oops, oops, oops. Yeah, that's looking pepperminty. Actually, it's not super red, is it? The actual candy cane color are darker. Yeah, like that. Done really red before, but I think it's always that heavier color, darker red, more Christmas. Yeah, that works. Interesting. I guess I've seen both, but yeah, I kind of like how that looks. Dark, a little curious. Christmas crime scene. That's when dating really helps. I think some depth. All right, and oh, pop 'em up. All right, and okay. Can't. Okay, there we go. Okay. There we go. Our Christmas crime scene. Yay. Without a face and gumdrop buttons, they looked. That'll work. Oh. New layer. All right. Gets pretty small. Rabbits. Okay, so without a face and gumdrop buttons, they looked more like a holiday crime scene. They looked more like a holiday crime. Alert. Yeah, that might be longer. The face and gumdrop buttons, they looked more. I didn't believe. Okay, so yeah, not competing. What are we doing here? Whoa. All right. So he couldn't believe he was he didn't. Yeah, I think a better reference. Joke. Uh, responsible for officer. Full of uh, oatmeal paperclip. Only at office party could you. That's not. Uh, Where to go with it? Get it across because the fact that office supplies is that it's at an office party. Oh, oh. He never at the office party to. Uh, I don't know where this. Oh, it's stuck there. So go back and take out a face and buttons. Good, good. Okay. Okay. That'll do. It's going. Um. Oh, okay. I'll just reverse these. Vary the lead here. Oatmeal, paperclip, and pushpin raisin cookie. Just okay. Yeah. Holiday. Oatmeal, paperclip, and pushpin raisin suggested that we're at 8. I guess that works. I'm too hung up on the base company. Okay, oatmeal, paperclip, and pushpin raisin cookie suggested that they were at solid. At see what it says. Words. It doesn't like paperclip. Really? Huh. It's definitely it does not need to be hyphenated. Hmm. Our clip is right. Oh. Ah. Okay. Yeah, 2 words for paperclip, and I'm gonna go with 1 word. Oatmeal, paperclip, and pushpin raisin cookies suggested that they were at. Okay. Those are our 2 holiday treats there, and a little discussion on cultural differences between U.S. and Japanese Christmas, gift giving, and all that good stuff. Oh, look at me. Right. Yeah. Put this a bit. Hmm. Mic a little bit there. Yeah, I gotta find a cool position for the microphone someday. All right, and how about a little shine? Whoa, 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 whoa! What? No! Wow, that was fun. Video card wanted me to experience. All right, there we go. That works. Okay, so they looked without a face gun. Oh. More like a holiday crime scene. All right. And clip and push pin phase in. Cookie suggested that they were a. Okay. Were they suggesting it? All right. Well, there we go. Two exciting holiday cartoons for December 11th. Wow. Well, thanks for joining me. And yeah, well, we're going to get back to a more normal schedule. And yeah, I'm going to thinking about a different camera setup. So maybe in the new year, you can look forward to different. I'll shift things around and maybe different position, change things up for 2018. But yeah, thanks for joining me. Check it. Yeah, hour and a half. Wow, how did it took me 30 minutes to color those cartoons. I apologize for having to sit through that because I know I wasn't talking. So you were just watching me silently color my cartoon. But yeah, thank you for being here, and thanks for watching. And please follow me on Instagram, Jeremy Lambros at Instagram, and Twitter, Abuse Cartoons, and visit abusecartoons.com for the weekly cartoons themselves. If you miss them or want to go through the giant archive, there's what, 15 years of cartoons there for you to enjoy. And yeah, so we will be back next week, hopefully right before Christmas, and enjoy some more of my rambling discussion. So let me know how arrogant you should be, and what you want for Christmas. So I'll see you next week, and thanks again for watching, and see you again. Goodbye.